Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. There's a moment in every man's life when he silently says, "No more. Never again. No more betrayal, no more manipulation, no more feeling like your strength is a liability." And it's in that moment, a sacred moment, when a man begins to rebuild himself from the inside out. This video is not just a message, it's a manifesto. A deep dive into emotional invincibility, masculine integrity, and how to walk through life with unshakable presence. Because once you master your inner world, nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. Stay with me because we'll journey through ancient truths, real historical love stories, and raw, unfiltered wisdom designed to help you rise. Like, share, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's rebuild the masculine soul together. Chapter 1. The Wound That Taught You Strength. There's a lesson written in the pain you carry, a silent wisdom carved into your scars. Not all wounds bleed. Some sit quietly under your chest, shaping how you see the world, how you trust, how you love, and most dangerously, how you see yourself. But hear this clearly, you are not your wound. You are what survived it, and what grows from it. History has always tested men this way. Take the story of Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, a philosopher of unmatched discipline. He lost 8 children, was betrayed by friends, and bore the weight of an empire on his shoulders during war and plague. Yet in his private writings, what we now call meditations, he never once asked, "Why me?" Instead, he asked, "What is within my control?" That question, brother, is the key. You cannot always control who hurts you, but you can always control what you do with the pain. Emotional intelligence for men begins here, not in avoiding pain, but in facing it. Modern society tries to convince you that your masculinity is dangerous, your emotions are weakness, and your boundaries are selfish. But look at Samson from ancient scripture, a man of enormous strength, undone not by brute force, but by misplaced trust and blind desire. Delilah didn't destroy him by overpowering him. She destroyed him by knowing exactly where he was emotionally weakest and exploiting it. This is the first great truth. A man who doesn't master his emotions will always be ruled by someone else's intentions. Pain becomes a prison only if you never understand its purpose. And its purpose is this: to wake you up, to show you what kind of people you allow in your life, to make you stop betraying your own values for the sake of connection, to help you realize that loyalty without discernment is self-destruction. You are not here to beg for love. You are not here to be chosen by those who never valued you. You are here to become so grounded in your truth that the only relationships you allow are those that water your soul, not drain it. Let's bring this to a real-life example. Napoleon Bonaparte, a man feared by nations, yet emotionally broken by one woman, Josephine. Despite her repeated betrayals, he married her, adored her, and even after divorcing her for political reasons, his dying words were, "France, the army, Josephine." Powerful on the battlefield, defenseless in love. Because emotional intelligence was never taught to him, it was assumed that power alone would protect him. But power without self-awareness is a blade without a handle. It cuts its wielder first. So here's the modern man's mission. You must learn to separate your identity from your attachments. You are not less of a man because someone left. You are not weak for having trusted, but you are unwise if you don't learn. Pain is the tuition for wisdom, but the lesson is free if you're willing to pay attention. Protect your energy like a kingdom, your time, your focus, your heart. These are sacred resources. You do not owe access to anyone who has not earned your trust. And trust is not earned through words. It's proven in consistency, humility, and mutual respect. So what does healing look like? Looks like boundaries. Looks like silence when chaos demands reaction. Looks like walking away from what no longer serves your growth. It looks like telling yourself, "I do not chase, I attract what aligns with my values." Because here's a truth no one teaches men. You don't need to be loved by many. You need to be respected by yourself. Once you develop self-respect, manipulation bounces off you. Once you know your worth, betrayal stings, but it doesn't scar. Once you stop seeking validation, rejection no longer defines you. This is the warrior's mindset, not made of stone but of awareness. To feel deeply and still choose discipline. To love boldly and still walk away when your peace is threatened. To give trust but never abandon discernment. You are not just a man, you are a fortress. And from this point forward, nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again, because you now see pain not as an enemy, but as an instructor. Let that sink in. Comment below if you're ready to protect your peace and stand in your strength. I protect my energy like a kingdom. Chapter 2. The power of stillness in a loud world. There is a difference between a man who reacts and a man who responds. The first is a prisoner. The second is a king. We live in a time where provocation is everywhere. Scroll through your phone and you'll see it. Conflict, outrage, distraction. But a man of true power doesn't get pulled into chaos. He creates silence inside himself, because silence is not weakness, silence is command. Let's go back in history to understand this kind of control. Socrates, one of the great minds of ancient Athens, was known for his ability to remain calm even when publicly mocked, threatened, or insulted. They called him odd. They laughed at his questions, but Socrates never defended his ego. He didn't fight back with anger. He listened. And in that listening, he destroyed his opponents, not with violence, but with clarity. He showed the world that the loudest man is not the strongest. The most present man is. Ask yourself, how many times have you let someone else's behavior control your emotional state? How often have you replayed arguments in your mind, trying to say the right thing after it was already over? This is the trap. Emotional immaturity turns you into a puppet, your mood, your peace, your entire identity, tied to what others do or don't do. But here's the hard truth. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. And every time you respond with chaos to chaos, you confirm their power over you. To break that pattern, you must learn the art of stillness, not passivity, not avoidance, but deliberate, conscious calm. Take Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who was born into slavery. He was beaten, controlled, silenced, and yet never broken. Even with a crippled body and no worldly freedom, he told his students, "No man is free who is not master of himself." He didn't just teach Stoicism, he lived it in chains with clarity, strength, and discipline. That is emotional invincibility. That is what men must reclaim in a world that profits from your instability. Here's the deeper truth. When you don't know your values, your emotions are for sale. Women can manipulate you. Friends can use you. Your job can drain you. Your past can haunt you. But when you define your values, truth, honor, discipline, loyalty, boundaries, you become immovable, because now you have a code. And a man with a code doesn't chase feelings, he chases alignment. Let's go deeper into relationships. Every man at some point will give his heart to someone who mishandles it. You'll love someone who uses your softness as a weapon. You'll be vulnerable with someone who sees your strength as a challenge to break. But the lesson is not to harden. The lesson is to discern earlier, to stop giving relationship potential to people who only reveal red flags. Most men don't lack strength. They lack clarity in choosing who deserves access to their inner world. That clarity comes from stillness, from watching without reacting, from observing someone's consistency before giving them trust. One of the greatest acts of emotional intelligence is this: don't explain, watch, don't beg for change, pay attention, don't argue with words, set boundaries with silence. As the Stoics taught, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. And it's true, what hurts us most isn't just betrayal, it's the way we replay it. It's the way we build a home in our head for people who've already left. Brother, you cannot be free until you stop feeding ghosts, and once you stop doing that, something powerful happens. You realize peace is not found in control, it's found in letting go of what didn't work, letting go of the version of yourself who tolerated less, letting go of people who only loved your potential but never your truth. This is how you rebuild your emotional kingdom, with silence as your strength. with observation as your weapon, with values as your shield, and with presence as your throne. The world needs fewer reactive men. It needs more grounded, discerning, present ones. Men who don't yell to be heard because their presence alone commands respect. You don't need to fight every battle. Some battles are meant to teach you what's worth walking away from. So next time someone tests your peace, don't give them a storm. Give them the ocean, vast, still, untouchable, because now you're not just surviving emotions, you're mastering them. Comment below if you're reclaiming your emotional control. My peace is my power. Chapter 3. Love, Loyalty, and the Price of Misplaced Trust. There's a truth most men learn the hard way. Love, by itself, is not enough. You can love someone with everything inside you and still be lied to. You can give your loyalty, your time, your soul, and still be left broken. Because love is not measured by what you give, it's proven by what is reciprocated. And the strongest men are not those who give endlessly. They are those who know when to stop giving to people who only know how to take. Let's talk about loyalty. History is filled with men who were brought down not by war, but by misplaced loyalty in love. One of the most haunting examples is Antony and Cleopatra. Mark Antony, general, politician, and heir to Julius Caesar's power, was a man of incredible influence. But his heart belonged to Cleopatra. Their love was passionate, legendary, and ultimately destructive. Blinded by emotion, Antony defied Rome, abandoned strategy, and followed desire. He lost his army, his allies turned against him, and in the end, he died by his own sword, believing Cleopatra had betrayed him. Moments later, she took her own life. What does that story teach you? That even the strongest men fall when they give their heart to someone who doesn't match their vision. It's not just about love, it's about alignment. Does she walk with you toward your purpose or away from it? Does she challenge you with grace or control you with guilt? Does she inspire your discipline or distract you from it? Too many men confuse intensity with depth. They confuse possession with love. And they stay in emotional survival mode, tolerating dysfunction because they think suffering is part of the deal. But let me say it clearly. You are not meant to suffer in love. You are meant to grow in it. Real love is not chaos. It's not guessing games. It's not anxiety dressed up as passion. Real love is peaceful, clear, respectful, and above all, reciprocal. You want emotional strength? Start by being honest about the women you allow into your life. Do they honor your presence or only respond when they fear losing it? Do they see your strength as something to stand beside or something to control? Too many men give relationship commitment to women who only offer conditions. They don't want your soul, they want access to your resources. They want your effort but won't match your energy. They want your consistency but give you confusion. That's not love, that's emotional convenience. And when you're emotionally intelligent, you stop chasing potential and start demanding reality. Don't fall in love with her promise. Fall in love with her patterns. Who is she when things aren't easy? Who is she when you say no? Who is she when you need silence, not stimulation? Brother, it's time to raise your standards, not just for women, but for yourself, because the highest form of self-respect is selectiveness. You don't have to be cold to be guarded. You don't have to be distant to be discerning. You simply need to stop negotiating with anyone who doesn't recognize your worth. Let's be clear, the strongest men feel deeply, they love boldly, but they also know when to walk away with peace, not bitterness. There is nothing more dangerous to manipulation than a man who has nothing to prove. A man who knows his value doesn't stay where he is only tolerated. He doesn't explain his boundaries, he enforces them. He doesn't chase closure, he is the closure. If she left, let her go. If she lied, let her fall. If she played games, let her lose. Your healing doesn't depend on her apology. It begins with your decision. And that decision must be this: you will never again abandon yourself to be loved by someone else. Your loyalty must first be to your mission, to your values, to your peace, because the man who guards those things builds a kingdom no woman can shake and no betrayal can destroy. That kind of man doesn't need revenge. He simply elevates. He doesn't become colder. He becomes clearer. He doesn't stop loving. He becomes more intentional about who he gives love to. The battlefield of modern masculinity isn't physical, it's emotional. And you don't win by overpowering others. You win by mastering yourself. Comment below. If you're done giving your heart to the wrong hands, my standards protect my soul. Chapter 4. Rebuilding the Unbreakable Man. When a man breaks, it doesn't always happen in public. Sometimes it happens quietly, behind a strong face, under the weight of responsibility, beneath years of silent sacrifice. But here's the truth. Breaking isn't the end, it's the blueprint. The world wants to convince you that once you're broken, you're finished. But Stoic philosophy and the legacy of great men proves otherwise. They weren't powerful because they avoided pain. They were powerful because they rebuilt themselves from it. Take Theodore Roosevelt, one of America's most revered presidents. As a young man, he suffered immense loss. His mother and wife died on the same day, under the same roof. He marked an X in his journal that day with the words, "The light has gone out of my life." But did he fold? Number. He retreated to the Badlands, lived in isolation, and turned grief into grit. He came back stronger. He led with fire, vision, and courage. That wasn't a comeback story. That was a rebirth. This is what every man must learn. You will be broken at some point. But how you rebuild decides your legacy. The weak man stays shattered, pointing at the past like a wound that never closes. The strong man gathers every piece and becomes wiser, not bitter. He stops asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and starts declaring, "What is this trying to teach me?" That is the shift from victimhood to ownership, and ownership is the foundation of masculine power. Let's be brutally honest, the world doesn't give men safe places to fall apart, so you must create that space within yourself. You must become your own foundation, not so you never feel pain, but so pain never owns you. Here's what the unbreakable man knows. 1. Your past may explain you, but it doesn't define you. 2. Your emotions are valid, but they are not your commands. 3. Your peace is more powerful than your pride. This is emotional discipline, not suppression, not stoicism with a lowercase s, but stoicism with depth, where control begins from within and radiates outward. And once you've mastered your internal world, here's what changes. You no longer seek validation, you embody it. You no longer chase relationships, you attract alignment. You no longer beg for peace, you become the source of it. Let's talk about something most men struggle with, forgiveness. Not for them, for you. You're not weak for being hurt. You're not soft for feeling betrayed. You're human. But here's the warning. Holding on to pain gives it permission to control your future. Forgive, not because they deserve peace, but because you do. And forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. You can forgive someone and never speak to them again. That's not bitterness, that's boundaries. And boundaries are what make you dangerous to every person, habit, and thought that once had power over you. You want to be unbreakable? Then don't just lift weights, lift your standards. Don't just flex your muscles, flex your discipline. Don't just armor your body, armor your mind. Because a true warrior isn't built in the gym or in a fight. He's built in silence, in solitude, in suffering. That's where the real work happens. When the lights are off, when no one is clapping, when the only voice guiding you is your own. And that voice must become the voice of a king, not one who rules others, but one who rules himself. The world doesn't need more reactive men. It needs present men, grounded men, men who are unshaken by trends, drama, or fear, men who walk with calm in storms, men who protect their peace like it's sacred, men who love with depth, lead with vision, and live with honor. That's what we're building here, and that's what you're becoming. Because from this day forward, nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. Not because pain won't come, but because you are no longer available to be ruled by it. You don't belong to the past. You don't belong to someone else's opinion. You don't belong to fear or heartbreak or regret. You belong to discipline, to purpose, to truth. You belong to yourself. And a man who belongs to himself is finally free. Comment below. If you're walking forward with power and peace, I belong to no one but my purpose.